Good day and welcome back to Prosperous Soul Ministries and Stephen K. De Silva Ministries. We just had a great weekend. Here in the United States, we celebrated Veterans Day, and today is November 13th, 2017. And I just wanted to give a short salute to our veterans and celebrate them and thank you for your service. And so here we are on the other side of that weekend and starting into a new week here. This is Monday, and I'm just going to wait for a moment for allow some more people to join, but you're welcome. Welcome here at Stephen K. De Silva Ministries. Now, over the past couple weeks, we've done some little informal surveys asking people, hey, what would you like to talk about over the coming weeks? This is November. We'll soon be into Thanksgiving and Christmas here in the United States. And come January, most people really start to think about applying themselves to really recovering after a kind of a decimation of their finances through the holiday season. And so the new year is a great time to think about building your plan, your financial plan. And so I thought maybe we should get a head start as prosperous souls. Come into this season with information already churning inside of our minds. Well, I asked the audience, and that is what people wanted to do. So John and Wayne and others, thanks so much for coming. Let's go ahead and dive in. This is the opening session to a Prosperous Home Content. This is a series I offer. It's actually a product. It looks like this. This is the student manual. It's blue on the cover. It's thick and filled with great pieces of information. And we are here not going to recreate it, but to kind of facilitate and work around the edges of that content. Now, I am going to go page by page, and my plan is to add some new ideas specifically for my friends here in that are following this page in Prosperous Soul and Prosperous Home Content. Those who are following and members of these Facebook Lives will get some additional material. So this could be kind of fun. It'll be challenging for me, and I look forward to just sewing that into people who are watching. And so just remind you, if you choose to, I really appreciate you sharing this content around your communities and talking about it so that we can get this information out. So let's get started. You see, in 1964, just a little over 50 years ago, there was a transition in the United States. We had a president named John F. Kennedy. That president was killed in an assassination, and his vice president, Lyndon B. Johnson, took the presidency right after that moment. And in 1964, so immediately following that assassination, he came and did a State of the Union address. You can imagine the tension in America at the time. It was in the height of the Cold War, and our president had just been removed through an assassination. At that time, it was from 1959 and on, we were experiencing some of the highest official poverty rates in American history. Around 22%, or more than 1 in 5 persons, their annual income was below what's called a poverty threshold. So Lyndon Johnson comes and announces in his State of the Union address a new legislation. It became affectionately called the War on Poverty. So imagine the United States and the government and the people looking around and saying, we have got to do something to break free of poverty in our nation. This is not right. We should do something about it. They built a package and began to work to help people, American people, climb out of this threshold called poverty. Now, I realize many of my audience are not American citizens. I realize many of you are spread around the world. So as we move forward, we'll quickly move into concepts that are general and apply to everyone. And that's the way I want to approach Prosperous Home and these basics for people in mechanical, fundamental ways, not things that are unique to one economy or one nation or not another. But I think you can find, if you're not in the United States, an idea about there's a line where people above the line, this is earnings, annual earnings, people above that line have what they need. They have an economic and a stable environment. It may not be wealthy, but it's adequate. And then the higher you go from there, the more substance, the more flexibility, the more agility a person has to make financial decisions. For a person that's at or above the line, you are stable financially. People below that line are considered impoverished or in poverty and in lack, failing to cover their basic needs. That line in the United States is called a poverty threshold. In 1960, let me look at 1967, is exactly 50 years ago. That line, that annual income, represented about $3,000 a year. More accurately, $3,300 for a family of four. Now, over this time, from 1967 until today, so we have a 50-year span of time that we're looking at. During this time, this war on poverty has been waged in the United States from the government level down, kind of a top-down administration, an effort to get people, more and more people, above the poverty threshold. Well, it had some pretty good, profound increases right at the beginning. By 1973, so from 1964 until 1973, that poverty line, the percentage of people below the line, fell from about 22% to about 11%. So fewer people were below the line. I would call that a success, and I would applaud that. There began, though, to be some ramifications, and some problems began to settle in, because as time goes on, the nature of persons begins to affect a system. Now, what happened is we now today, 50 years later, so if we can just draw a line, 1967 to 2017, 50-year span, we are currently experiencing people below the poverty threshold of about 14%. So it's climbed a little bit from 11% in 1973 to about 14% today. And of course, the line isn't straight and flat and pretty. It's zigzagging up and down. A lot of economics, a lot of complex theories go into this. But what's happened is we are beginning to watch that bottom layer, that percentage below the line, grow again. And this has been a fuel for passionate arguments on both sides of the political aisle in the United States. The liberals and the conservative sides both have very strong opinions wanting to achieve the same thing, and yet they have different, almost opposite perspectives. I am definitely not a political animal, and I don't consider myself qualified to speak to one side or the other. I'm just going to illustrate facts. You see, the complex theories around economics that drive the engine of a nation are supported, like, imagine dials on the dashboard of a very complex airplane. And these things include the levels of debt that a government will accept or pay down. It involves the amount of inflation a nation will accept and how it manages that inflation through interest rates and money volume, the actual amount of volume that's moving around in a national economy. It also is driven by a thing called consumerism or consumption theory. And it's the idea that we can grow our nation, we can improve the state of the average citizen just through the fact that there's this massive economic engine, people buying more and more. And as they buy more things, those things have to be produced and or imported. And as those are produced or imported, you have this growing momentum that people can jump onto and just follow along. And so you have a real interesting dynamic here of all these complex systems at the national level. Again, I don't feel I don't feel competent to speak to those specifically. But here's what I will say, that as a home, as an individual in that complex system, we can make decisions. We can be passive or active in our financial decision making, in our personal views of how we make decisions, how we grow our home. We can either be passive and let things happen to us, or we can be active and make ourselves happen to our environments. Okay? And so I want to just talk about for a moment a prosperous home. You see, some Christians struggle with this idea that Christian homes should be prosperous. I realize most of us would not, but some of us do. There's like a residue, a guilt to this idea. And I just want to speak to a moment about home wealth. I think the word wealth needs to be defined a little bit. I want to add some words saying, what does wealth look like in terms of stability? Imagine your home having stability. Think of it like a foundation, something that can be built upon, maybe year upon year, or really, how about generation upon generation? So when you think about a prosperous home, consider the word stability. Here's a new one. How about resilience? How about a prosperous home with resilience? How would you like, by resilience, to be able to absorb or endure outside forces, external forces that threaten or attempt to topple your financial home, the way your home operates? So we're really playing with this idea of a home wealth and using some new terms: stability, resilience. How about this one? Capacity. How about your home having the capacity to do what I call 3D investing, three-dimensional investing, not just simple ideas like I need to pay down debt and I need to put money in the bank. Now, those are two very important ideas, but they're very monochrome. They're very basic. How about the ability with capacity in a home to think broader and invest in ways that are have more depth or width or breadth? Do you understand? Three-dimensionally, think complex and ways to grow wealth in your home, expanding your stability or foundation and your resilience, which I mentioned already, into capacity, the ability to grow and have a wider footing. These are some powerful ideas for a home, and these are possible for you. I'm not done yet, though. These are 3 words. I want to give 3 more. How about durability? How about the ability of your home to last over time, through time? And I don't mean just weeks or months. I mean generations. How about this idea of old wealth? Where does that idea come from? Well, it's the idea that a family has managed to accumulate and then carry it durably through generations, so that the assignment of the following generations is built around learning how to manage what their forefathers and ancestors have grown. This is an idea that you can build into your prosperous home mindset. Here's word number 5, flexibility. The ability to be nimble in your home. You see, economies are dynamic. Money is not even real. It's very dynamic. Money is going in and out of an economy. Things are growing and things are collapsing all the time. Every time something new is invented, there's a thing called constructive, what's that called? I know some of you know what I mean. It's creative destruction. That means you create something new and it destroys something old. So you want a prosperous home that is nimble or has, my word, flexibility. My last word, number 6, is generosity. The idea that your prosperous home has purpose behind it. It has more meaning in your home than simply taking care of, covering your next rent payment. That's important, but that is not as important as a long-term view, something that looks over many, many months, years, even generations. So here are my 6 words, and this is the point for today. Your prosperous home, connecting it to the idea of wealth, can be broadened in its meaning. Consider these 6 ideas for your home and pick one that you want to focus on and build maybe over the next year, 2018. The 6 ideas are stability, resilience, capacity, durability, flexibility, and generosity. In other terms, those same 6 could be looked at: foundation, outside resilience or forces that you can defend against, 3-dimensional investing, time, nimbleness, and purpose. Those are just different ways of saying the same thing. And all of them are bundled together when I think about the word of wealth. And when I associate wealth with the idea of my home, these ideas are bundled together. I have a prosperous home. I want to give you a prosperous home as well. And we can do this. By the way, I even have a verse that proves it. Of course, prosperous home is founded on the Bible. And the verse is this, Philippians 4:13. It says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You can say that with me. Repeat it if you will. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, make that a declaration. And don't allow money to be something so confusing and distant that you don't know how to master it. Don't let money happen to you. You can happen to money. And Philippians 4:13 promises that. Awesome. Now, I just bless you guys, and I want to encourage you, and I encourage you to follow along. If you want to get the manual, we'll crawl along page by page. Well, maybe not every page, but we're going to spend probably the next month working through this thing and really talking about the ideas embedded inside a prosperous home. If you're interested in getting the manual or the DVD set of training videos and tutorials, you'll find that on my website, StephenKDeSilva.com. Okay? The manual looks like this. I see someone just asked. Julie, there you go, girl. The manual looks like this. And this, you'll notice, is book 1. So this is very basic, and this is what we're going to work on over the next few weeks. Yeah, let's do at least a month. Maybe right up through the end of the year and into January. We'll talk maybe into the next subject. All right? Well, God bless you guys, and God bless your prosperous home. Cut. Okay, we did it. We did it. There's Julie, you just came up with a question. So if you're new to the Facebook Live broadcast that I'm doing, I do the actual content and then I stop and we just do some Q&A here afterwards. So you can move on now if you care to, or of course stay on and listen. I have a question here from Julie. I want to thank you, Julie, for jumping on. And Julie, starting when? Starting today. What this Facebook Live session was my introduction into this manual. And what has happened is over the past probably three or four Facebook Lives, I've been poking around asking people, is there a subject you really want to cover over the next month? And it was 100% unanimous. They were interested in everything, but they really wanted to know some practical solutions for their homes. So that takes us into the Prosperous Home content. And that's what we're going to do now, is starting today. And what I do is I do a Facebook Live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I'm in California, and that's my place of reference. So I know some of you are time shifters. You're in other time zones all around the world, and that's a lot of fun for me. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I just want to take a moment here and look here. I see John. Great to have you, John. Thanks so much for watching. Wayne as well. You guys are faithfully on here. And Yarenas, thank you so much for coming. She's my faithful friend. And hello back. I see Steve is watching. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming. Steve Soares and his beautiful wife, Cassandra, have just a wonderful ministry, and they've been lifelong missionaries, and they're just a dear friend. Steve, we got to do our steak dinner soon, man. We got to get that done. Hello, Zing Sao. I hope I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. I can't wait to hear where you're from, my friend. That sounds very Chinese-esque. We'll see where that might be, and hopefully he'll log that on here. Yes, Julie, thank you. They are important. She's referring to these 6 ideas, and I was just really thinking, what are some big, broader ideas that we can accumulate, words around when we say wealth? When we associate wealth with the home, what am I meaning? And so that's what we did today. We just dove into that. Yes. What is this book called? I answered that. Thank you, Wayne, for echoing that as well. Payola, hello, girl. It's great to see you back. Wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, John, so good to have you. You're very welcome, my friend. Very good. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you so much. Wayne, I appreciate your comment there. You love about these is they always bring hope. I just had a meeting with someone, and this was a brand new married couple, and he came to this meeting so nervous. This meeting was me teaching what we call in Reading at Bethel Church a DTR. That stands for Defining the Relationship. It comes from some Danny Silk material on pre-marriage coaching and how to put these marriages together and do some stuff in advance of the actual wedding so that these weddings have more capacity to make a strong and successful run. Yeah. And so I'm invited to one of those sessions every season, and it's such a privilege. And this guy was saying, one of the people walked up at the end, I was so nervous about this money session. It just gave me anxiety in my stomach. But he said, I really appreciate at the end how much hope is exchanged. And that is my prayer, and that's my prayer for you guys, that you would take deep drinks, deep drafts of this hope that is in Christ for your prosperous home. I'm going to sign off. Oh, and I see some more questions, so I'll take those on after I check out. But God bless you guys. And God bless your prosperous soul. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Stephen K. DeSilva, and you're probably wondering, why have I never heard this information before? Well, now you can by going up into this corner and subscribing to this channel. Or you can go to this corner and watch the next video. There is tons of information I'm giving you. Go check it out and go deeper. Or better yet, go to the link below and go check out my website. I've got some free stuff on there. Go get that and go see lots of resources so you can finally master your money. Hey, I gotta go record another video. I'll see you soon. Bye.